Hello, guys. Welcome to the next Last Ball Drop show. We know that it's not exactly it yet. The last ball hasn't dropped, but this is literally the last moment when we could bring you this. And basically, that's why we're talking while Medvedev and Rutsuvori are still playing. With Mario, we're just going to start from the WTA side and then,
Yeah.
sort of just play it by ear. We have a limit of like about an hour for this show. So if Rusuvori and Medvedev still won't be finished by the time we stop talking, so be it. We'll see how this match progresses. But yeah, Mario, how much tennis did you watch today? How do you feel after another day of the Australian summer, which I guess was one of the best days in Grand Slam recent history?
Yeah, definitely, because it actually delivered in all the aspects, the close matches, both on the women's and the men's side. The men's side, only one straight set match the whole day, and also because we've seen some very high quality battles also. Just starting from the women's side as we're planning to do. Maybe we can really start with, let's call it, maybe not maybe it is the upset of the day because the last year's finalist and one of the most informed players entering the Australian Open because had played a great warm-up event in Brisbane, beating comfortably also in the final the reigning champions Sabalenka, but she's lost today. She wasn't looking great in round one, as we were pointing out in the last time we did this. But we didn't know, and today there's been actually a great battle. And Blinkova won. That's been that incredible tiebreak. It's been for sure one of the highlights, that deciding set tiebreak ended 22-20, one of the highlights of the day for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the tiebreak of the season, and I can say it with a lot of confidence, even though this is January. It's maybe one of the matches of the season as well, and I'm saying that with confidence, even though it's January again. I only started following it in the third set because earlier on we were doing the watch along for Rune Cazaux. So I was just sitting here and talking about Rune Cazaux. But yeah, I just noticed Rybakina, of course, going really deep with Blinkova, going down the set and a break, then going down the break again in the third set. So I figured I have to take out my phone and I have to simply start following that as well. John also tuned in. He was watching Rybakina, and I was theoretically watching Rune, but I was just mostly catching both at the same time. And yeah, I mean, the story is pretty massive. The fact that Rybakina crushed everyone in the Brisbane field and then never really showed that form again, even in Adelaide. I mean, with Adelaide, everyone, I guess, was just seeing it as okay, so that's maybe even a blessing in disguise that she's not going deep in Adelaide, because that's going to give her more rest.
Yeah,
And I also
exactly.
figured that it was going to be like this. I barely saw her Pliskova round one as well. So the signs, if there were any, I definitely missed them. And yeah, I mean, that was so unexpected. But then again, she wasn't really playing that well. But I cannot really also criticize her fighting effort, because obviously the tiebreaker was insane. 32 minutes, 42 points. I think it was the 10th match point for Blinkova when she finally clinched it. A couple of very memorable points, the forehand winner that she hits on the line, and especially the one volley which Rybakina reaches with her racket but cannot really get it back over the net. Herself, I think Blinkova saved 6 match points. So yeah, absolute craziness, and definitely one of the most memorable 10-point tiebreakers that we've had. In fact, I'm pretty sure also that it's the best 10-point tiebreak that we've seen so far.
Yeah, definitely. I was remembering
And I mean,
while
like, ever. I mean, ever. I'm not this event, ever, really, because
yeah,
it's so
sure,
new,
because
right? Yeah.
while watching it at first, when we were like 12 all 13 12, I was remembering that very long tiebreak between Tsurenko and Bogdan in Wimbledon, but this one completely outsold it in the end. And also because in this time in the tiebreak, the quality of tennis also grew up also in some moments. There have been some mistakes, of course, but it's been a very well played tiebreak. Despite that one, I was remembering was mostly played by the tension of the two players who were a bit cramping. Also, this time it's been very very nice, and in the end, I know my opinion is usually then when a lower ranked player is able to go toe to toe with an established top player, it's actually kind of fair that she is rewarded with a win in this case. Of course, Rybakina could have for sure deserved to win also, but still nice for Blinkova, because a player who can have some highs. I've seen in the past some matches. She had a good win also against Garcia, even if Garcia was not playing at her best at the French Open last year. So she proved that she could beat top players. And today, even if maybe I was not expecting it at the beginning, before the starting of the match, but then I know that she was a player which had mentally what it could have taken to fight to the last ball with Rybakina. It's been actually break. She served for the match twice, so she she had also a tough time entering the tiebreak, because at that point you may it may seem like, okay, maybe my chances are gone. And actually not, because she's been great in fantastic defense, also going very deep with her shots, even in defense, running till the very last ball. It's been really nice to see her fighting spirit. And also, of course, credits to Rybakina, even if she lost, because when we are remembering some incredible tie breaks and matches, it's of course due to both players actually showing up.
Yeah, if only one of them showed up in the tiebreak, it would have been 10-6 or whatever.
Exactly.
And then we never remember really that much. Or, well, we remember it as a big upset if it's Blinkova, but we don't remember it as this mammoth tiebreaker. Ghosty, I have to tell you that I don't know. I also don't think that always the unforced errors, the quantity of them is not always representative of the quality. However, if you or anyone else wants to check it out, the Australian Open published the whole tiebreaker on their YouTube channel. So there's like the whole video of the 32-minute tiebreak. If someone missed it, I definitely recommend it. I think even watching it on replay will give you a lot of idea into like how we felt experiencing it for the first time, and how Blinkova, how Rybakina, and how Rybakina's sister also felt, because her facial expressions will tell you a lot about that. Yeah, Blinkova, as you said, I think she has a reputation of like being a pretty powerful, pretty dangerous player if she like puts it together ever. She hasn't really been able to do that, like other than patches, other than good matches. But yeah, that win you mentioned over Garcia was one of her 2 top 10 wins before today. Can't remember who the first one was against, but it was like a longer while ago in 2020. And of course, this is the biggest one because, Rybakina is just the more consistent top player than Garcia. Rybakina was actually considered to be one of the top 4 favorites, maybe one of the top 3 favorites realistically to claim this title. So this is way bigger. This is the biggest win of Anna Blinkova's career for sure. Let's maybe talk about 2 other top players, top seeds. One of them was in trouble. One of them was in trouble as well, but one of them got out of it. Let's maybe start, since we already covered Rybakina falling out. Or actually, no, let me ask you one thing first. Because if I'm looking at the draw now, and I'm thinking of the Rybakina quarter, although actually we could cover it, I guess, in a second. But let's start from this. I'm looking at the Rybakina quarter, and I'm just going to read out these 8 players for you and for everyone in the audience. Anna Blinkova, Jasmine Paolini, Anna Kalinskaya, Sloane Stevens, Qinwen Zheng, Yafan Wang, Ocean Dodin, Clara Burel. These are the 8 players who are currently in the second quarter of the draw. It is an opportunity for every single one of these players. Do you have any like particular, I don't want to say prediction, but are there any like big favorites at that stage, or is it just chaos and whoever may make the semifinals?
Well, I think that at this point, even if she's still very young, but at this point, I think that Qinwen should feel a bit of pressure right now, because everyone is expecting her to have a deep run somewhere, and she's playing well lately. She's at a solid end of her last season and started quite well this year also. And so I think that she would feel a bit of a pressure, and I consider her also the favorite to go through the semifinal at this point. Talking about other players, well, I would say that Sloane Stephens maybe has from her side the experience, knowing how to manage and to behave in this situation in a Grand Slam. And maybe I will say that also the match between Blinkova and Paolini would feel like a very big occasion for both players, and probably especially for Paolini, given that she's living a very good moment, the best moment of her career. So probably putting a cherry on the cake, advancing in a slam, reaching the second week, maybe even further can be important for her. So I'm probably mentioning these three players, saying that Qin Wen is of course the favorite in my opinion. I believe that she has all what is required to advance to the semifinals.
Yeah, she did at the US Open, of course, just by making the quarters, but that was the first time when we really saw her capitalize on a good draw, which is part of why I think, she's the favorite. There's also Kalinskaya as well, I guess one of the players you didn't mention, who is in such ridiculous form recently. Only lost to Kasatkina and Azarenka this year. And Ghosty is saying Sloane. If she plays 5 good matches in a row, sure. But how often does that happen? Well, we're going to see. But of course, I just don't really trust her, I suppose. But of course, a peak Sloane Stephens absolutely could make the semis here and maybe even go further. But we haven't really seen that woman since 2018 or thereabouts. Paolini, I think, is a good shout. Definitely when she plays Blinkova now, she will have an advantage of just having the recovery, and also basically the thing that usually it's so hard to just repeat that emotional high from Blinkova getting that amazing win over Rybakina. So I would say Paolini, Kalinskaya, Zheng, these are my main picks for this one. And one of the players we didn't mention is Clara Burel, and why I'm talking about her here is because Clara Burel beat Jessica Pegula here. Honestly, this result sort of just went over my head. I was following the tennis. There was so much action, and some of that, of course, we're going to get back to later. But around maybe 5, 6 a.m. my time, they started, and yours as well, they started playing. And then I saw the score an hour later. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but
really?
that's also what it happened. I've read for Blinkova the slogan blink and it's over, but it's actually right for the Pegula match, because after just a while the match was over 6-4, 6-2. I've caught a bit, not that much, honestly. The classic scoreline and situation that can be explained just by mentioning both sides of the story. So that Burel has been very calm and composed, playing her game, doing what she should have done well. And from the other side, Pegula probably, I don't know, one of her worst performances in a while. She ended the match hitting 9 winners and 31 on first errors. Just to mention that, numbers, don't always tell 100% of the story, but in this case, it's pretty, you see the numbers and you are a little bit shocked about the gap. And she basically also faded away in the second set. Finding herself in trouble, she hasn't really shown up and try to do everything possible. Something like Rybakina found herself a set and a breakdown, but she sell her soul on the court, and then she lost anyway. But then that didn't happen at all, and not only due to Burel very, very good level, which has to be recognized.
Yeah, Clara has been improving a bit. I honestly have been pretty high on her since the junior days. She has like a very explosive but wild forehand, which is exactly the type of players I like, obviously. But yeah, I didn't see that one. But I guess it all depends on like how high you were on Pegula before the event, because some considered her like on par with Rybakina Gov. For me, there was certainly like a clear edge between the top four and Pegula, but at the same time, probably a clear edge between Pegula and the rest. I still didn't really think that she was gonna make the final or win it. However, getting a deep run definitely seemed possible. She also, well, I guess the last few slams she's been like fourth round, third round, so a second round is a bit of a downgrade. Definitely a loss that she will be disappointed by. It's not Sakari or Garcia levels, where like yesterday they lost to some pretty passive players who don't really impose their games on them, or didn't really impose their games on them, and really just considering the opportunities that they had in the draw, it was pretty horrific for both of them. I think Pegula is more justifiable. However, of course, it's not a great showing from her, and
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Mhm.
For me also, the way you go out from the tournament leaves a little bit of a mark. Rybakina, considering the way she was the favorite in the end, it doesn't really matter if you lose 20-20 in the tiebreak of just 6-4, 6-2. The result, the ranking points, and everything is the same. But still, when you think about that, the image Rybakina left is way different than the image Pegula left today. That's what that's in my mind. I saw her kind of struggling in this start of the season. Also, the United Cup wasn't great. Same what happened, even if he didn't lost on the court in Adelaide, she hasn't started well the 2024 season. So
Yeah, so I guess it wasn't that huge, but until Rybakina lost, it was probably the biggest upset story of the event. Maybe Daniel Medvedev will join soon. He's currently in the fourth set at 4-all. But I think there was
oh, we
one
should worry
player.
about that.
Exactly, yeah. So there was one player who had some issues, and in fact was like in deep, you know what, but
Yeah.
climbed out of it. And that was, of course, Iga Swiatek in a rematch of the 2022 Australian Open semifinal against Daniel Collins. Honestly, lots of patterns from that semifinal showing up again. I mean, the backhand return of Collins again, just totally killing Iga. She is again also serving a lot of second serves to her backhand, which is a bit weird. Then again, sometimes it just doesn't really matter. There was this one, it was third set, 1-all, and it was a breakpoint for Collins. And Swiatek serves like this very deep second serve at the body. And of course, it's a ball where Collins like usually is going to step around it. Usually, is going to find the inside in or the inside out backhand because that's how she plays. But yeah, I mean the depth definitely made it okay, and Collins just takes it like it's nothing. Collins just absolutely blasted anyway. And yeah, what do you think occurred there in the last 5 games or so? Because Collins was 4-1 up, double break, which in this match probably at the end didn't matter because they both wanted to retain rather than to serve. But still, later on, of course, also 4-2 and 40 love on the Iga serve.
Yeah, just say that Iga served better in that moment than she was before, and then what Collins did. And also, it's definitely I was comparing, even if Iga still had won the first set, but I was comparing just that to the loss she had last year, for example, against Rybakina, or some the way she stayed there, the way she didn't really matter, the fact that the score, she was in trouble, she has been able to stay there mentally and showed up well, also comparing to the loss that she had against Ostapenko in the US Open. These are matches that even in her extraordinary career so far, also considering her age, of course, there have been some losses that had happened in this way when the opponent, maybe the deciding set, were starting a great hitting. I remember also Sabalenka when it was the WTA finals in 2022. I remember this kind of similarity in some other matches. Of course, also the opponent is different. But it's been for sure a good sign for her that even if and in my opinion, she also played a spectacular last games, because it was really tough after all that time, and to step up in that way. So I think that the sign, it's pretty loud and clear. Also, the what she tweeted after, it's not over until it's over. She's clearly, I think, getting even higher in my in my perception of her as a top player, because not only from the level of tennis, which is incredible, which is very, very high, but being able to have some Djokovic and win at the Grand Slam on the center court. These are wins that, as a top player, in my opinion, make a mark on, even if she then goes on, to win the tournament. I think that she will be particularly happy and proud to how she did in the end of this match.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the legacy of this win will definitely be impacted by how she goes from here. She loses to
Yeah.
Noskova round 3. We probably forget about it pretty quickly.
Yeah, sure.
If she wins the title, we're going to be mentioning, just like we're talking about the Misaki Doi, Angelique Kerber opening round, or I don't know, Osaka Muguruza, as like one of the events that sort of could have changed the course of history. As for now, I don't really think that she has a wonderful chance of winning the event. Like if she plays Ostapenko in the quarters now, seeing what Kenin and Collins did to her serve, I don't know. Let's see. But certainly it would be a big step for her also, because she has never defeated Ostapenko, to finally do it. The thing that we mentioned with the semifinals, this is actually also helping Iga in a way, because of course she was potentially going to play Rybakina in the semis, and Rybakina also a matchup that, well, she did beat her in the past, but not in 2022, not in 3 matches, even though in Rome without the injury she probably does. And of course, one of these matches was the 2023 Australian Open, where like she had kind of like no shot against Rybakina.
Yeah.
I think this time it probably would have been closer. Still, I would give maybe a slight nod to Rybakina if she was actually going to play well in the second week, if she was going to tune her form a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to that Swiatek match, I think what's going to be forgotten about it for sure is that by the time she was like 1-4 down, she was actually not playing it too well either. Like she was just rushing off the ground. Anytime she got a neutral ball, anytime she got Collins on the back foot, she was just trying to finish it off with one shot all the time. And this was just the classic mistakes that Swiatek did last year against like Ostapenko, for example, against Kudermetova. When she's being overpowered, when she's under pressure, just she tries to go even harder. However, once that fire from the backhand return dried out a little bit, that's when she actually started doing a lot better. As you said, the last few games were amazing. The save at love 40 at 2-4 down, some of her best serves of the entire match, some of her best points of the entire match. There's actually a very nice backhand down the line there. Of course, there's this one like fairly accidental drop shot, but still, like this was some of the best tennis that she played the entire match for sure. And yeah, she recovered in time, and that's really what I have to say. I don't think anyone is really talking about it, but
I think that when she tries to go for it even more, I think that her tennis is special also because it's a bit of a combination about the power, the angles, top spin, and she can do great defense, and she can use all these weapons in great way. And when she has a good balance between all this, she becomes clearly above all the rest of the field. When she tries to rush too much, she kind of neutralizes also some of her big weapons, and also at times she kind of starts making a lot of mistakes, and this is not her, in my opinion. She can hit very big, and that's for sure, but she has way more. When she uses well her angles and the top spin of the ball, for me that is when she becomes more or less unbeatable.
That's a nice way of putting it, actually. Yeah, I never really maybe thought of that this way, but indeed, when she's trying to be an Ostapenko, she's kind of taking away some of the things that make her, the best in the world. She's kind of taking away some of her biggest assets. So yeah, I guess even more proof that she perhaps most of the time shouldn't be doing it. And of course, recently on that win streak, she has already proved it many times. She's beaten a fair few players already who she was just really efficient and clean against. Here, so far, her second serve has been crushed. But despite the tough draw, she keeps pushing through. And also, of course, the tough draw also didn't actually have to be tough because we're all talking about very inconsistent players as her rivals. But
Yeah.
they are delivering. They have been delivering so far. We'll see if Linda Noskova does the same. And I think from the women's, we have one more thing that we should cover. And this is also in the title of this show. And that's Emma Raducanu going out to Yafan Wong. I don't know if it's quite as big a story, but clearly John wanted us to mention it since she's in the title. And Emma, I think after her match was talking about her having a stomach bug or something like that. So maybe the fitness issues that we saw, maybe it's not simply playing a couple of matches, which basically happened to her in Auckland and also now again. But maybe it was also connected to that. But all in all, just what are your thoughts going forwards as well on Emma and the comeback so far? The two tournaments that she's played.
Yeah, I mean, I was not really expecting, let's say a semi-final run from here. Plus against, an opponent which can be dangerous. She had this kind of issue. It's also a hard time coming back. We are seeing it. I think that the judgment from about her must be also postponed a little bit. I was not expecting an extraordinary Australian Open campaign from her. So I guess that winning one match, fighting hard in another one. Maybe reaching the second week could have been a big win for her. That didn't happen. She could have faced Kim Wen, would have been, maybe an interesting match. But I think that, she just has, and we just have to wait until a little bit more to start making some kind of judgment about her and their and perspective for this new season.
Yeah, doesn't seem like that was a big deal, but just some sort of stomach issue, and maybe also fatigue, but that's also something that can be handled. She got a lot of decent match practice in Australia. I do think that one round more would have been nice, just get to the third round, lose to Kinver or win if she can, of course, why not? But lose to Kinver, that would be a very realistic and acceptable result.
That's true.
Here, I mean, it's also not unacceptable, definitely not. Perhaps it's going to be slightly disappointing for her, but yeah, as you said, it's still early. I think she's still shown enough so far that she kind of makes you think that if she's going to be healthy for a year, she should be back up there and probably again in the top, whatever in the world. And Medvedev was 2 points away from losing, actually. But now I'm going to ask you. Yeah, he held. But is there anything on the women's side that we should talk about?
Nothing special. I think it will be interesting, of course, since we are mentioning also, you were mentioning Ostapenko. I will be interested in watching the next match between, or at least, knowing how it will go between herself and Azarenka, which last year was in the semifinals. She definitely can play good tennis on these courts. And, Ostapenko never beat Azarenka, even if a couple of these matches have really been very, very, very close. So let's see what is going to happen, because I feel that this is a result which can tell us a lot, even maybe considering the whole top half, since we are talking about Swiatek, a matchup that maybe she doesn't really like, and so maybe she needs to be 100% for that match. It will be an interesting result to know. So far, Azarenka 1, 2, 3 set matches, quite okay, I would say.
Yeah, today, of course, she had also a very dangerous opponent, and Ostapenko and Azarenka did indeed play each other a couple of weeks ago. 7-5 to Azarenka in the third. some of the best returners in the world. So yeah, I'm very excited for that one as well. I think on the men's we're gonna have like a bit more individual matches to talk about.
Yeah,
Let's
well,
maybe start with the upset as well. Let's maybe kick off with that, which was, I guess, Arthur Cazaux over Holger Rune.
hmm.
Rune struggling a little bit, maybe a little deflated or flat in the second set. Then he takes a medical timeout in the third. Probably when he's actually like the few games when he wasn't moving too well, these were the ones that he actually started winning, and then he gets some nervousness out of Cazaux finally by the end of the third set. But I think we shouldn't really be looking at this loss or win from Cazaux's perspective, only from that angle of like Rune having some physical issues again, right?
No, absolutely. Also because Cazaux really played a very good match from a lot of aspects, and also mentally. You know that Rune is very present. Also engages with the crowd, and I was liking Cazaux when she was doing it. Also after playing a good point, because Rune was trying to coming back, was there getting more loud. So I really liked this, and also very good serving today. Very good display from him. Absolutely deserved the win, and came with no Grand Slam wins, but definitely watching him play, doesn't seem so. He seems a player who at least watching him play right now in this tournament, you may think that he has more experience at the very top level. Just because he handled well the important moment. Yeah, that there have been that third set, but it happens, of course, in a best of five match. Um, it's for very few players that are able to stay there 110% from the first to the last point. And also Rune started play better, and at some moment I really like the way he handled the whole situation, and played also not trying to escape from Rune's tactics and best parts of his game. So it's been a really nice match also to watch. As for Olga, I don't really know what to take from this so far. It's more or less the same issues we have seen lately, a little bit from game wise. For example, there have been, I don't remember, it was him having the break point, or maybe the opposite, but it was in the fourth set. And for example, at some moment he tried a backhand passing shot, which was a little bit improbable. Could have at least make Cazaux play the volley, some things like that. And also a lot of time started struggling a little bit in these long matches, best of five. I still didn't get the answers I wanted. He has time to show me that this, of course, in the next Grand Slams. But so far, I think he will be still a little bit disappointing, probably more than a little bit, even if the opponent played a very good match.
Yeah, I was talking about that with John earlier, and like I said, that maybe more something like you said on Raducanu, like the jury has to postpone their talks, and like yeah, we cannot really say much yet. I think it would be good for Holger if during the ATP 1000 streak that we have, like between the Australian Open and the French Open, we have 5 of these events. He like does the same as last year, more or less. Makes 2 finals, maybe makes 1 final in the semi. I don't know, something like that. Like something to make you think that he is back on the right track, that he's back where he was 12 months ago. Because of
Yeah.
course, 12 months ago we were extremely excited about his prospects. Then a lot of things happened. Like some were his fault, some maybe weren't. Like the injuries in the second half of the year. But yeah, I would love to see that. When it comes to whether this particular physical issue was related to his usual Grand Slam struggles with his fitness, who knows? And that's what makes it pretty
Yeah.
tricky as well for us to actually have an opinion on this. Yeah, Cazaux, I absolutely love the performance. Of course, he just played exactly the same as he did, start of the year. wins the Numea Challenger, beats Zverev for the biggest win of his career, beats Rune for the biggest win of his career now. Of course, after that, maybe another milestone coming up soon if he breaks the top 100 with the Greek sport win. But certainly, like for me, it was just exactly the Arthur Cazaux that I've been watching, for the past few years, and sort of wondering why isn't it working out more for him? And I'm very glad to see it. I think it's very likely to break the top 100 this year, get a lot of main tour opportunities, which I don't know, how he's gonna hold up in the long run. I don't know if he's gonna have a very high win rate on the main tour, but he certainly deserves to get a chance to try himself. Of course, this was just another showing. This was just another display of that. And yeah, the serve for his height, I've said it a billion times, is just like absurd. The first one especially. And you mentioned also Rune's passes, which I actually think was one of the things that surprised me the most about the match, because I was thinking that Cazaux, his like all-out aggression playstyle, and he actually only played like that for 2 sets. In the first 2 sets, he was going to the net a lot. In the third and the fourth, he was like more trying to beat Holger off the ground, which I guess was related to the injuries. But that was actually one of the things that I thought was going to be an asset for Rune here. The fact that he's so complete and like has such good hands. So he's probably going to be able to come up with some passes and lobs. But no, actually, whenever Cazaux would approach even like a pretty poor ball, Rune was just going to give him the volley. I don't know, just to finish it. I don't really understand why that was the case. But that led to Cazaux winning like 90% of his net points in the first and second set, even when he wasn't like fully prepared with the approach.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the big upset, I guess. A big upset also was possible in Lucas Klein against Alexander Zverev. This one was really disappointing for me. However, when I look back at it, I cannot really feel like that, because Klein just played an awesome match. Like just like Cazaux. I mean, just as he started the year playing against, of course, weaker opponents than Alexander Zverev, qualifying for Brisbane, making the second round, qualifying here, making the second round as well. Just like he was playing in all of these matches, he just got out there and played the same against Zverev. Like this was literally just a peak Lucas Klein performance from start to finish, really. Can I criticize like some of his volleying in the tiebreak, like the 8-7 one, for example? Yes, but then again, he only made that error because Zverev made him hit like 10 shots in that rally, which usually the second or third would have ended the point. There was also that virtual match point for him at 4-all in the fourth set, which was a break point. And Klein was like really overexcited, and he goes too big on a forehand. It barely lands in. He gets another forehand, and he just throws it out. So there were missed chances, but still, as a whole, I think this was a bit of a typical Zverev round 1 or round 2 at a slam, where like it's a mess, it's long, but the quality was super high from start to finish. And I legit think that Klein can't really play better than this. He went to the net 90 times. He was just so confident in his game, played with such conviction and clarity that sometimes in the past, especially at the ATP level, he would just drop. I think he's much more ready also for a top 100 push now, even though last year, points-wise, he had such a phenomenal opportunity, because up until May, he was only defending 23 points because he was injured in early 2022. But as a whole, I think now he's actually much better prepared. He's playing just freely again, and playing freely on the biggest of stages as well. So in the long run, I can't really be disappointed, because he did play an awesome match, really.
Yeah, definitely. Did really, really, really well. And that's also why, where you were talking about the classic Zverev round 1, round 2 match, it's also why this has really been close. And not only, a little bit of a struggle, as other matches have been in the past. For example, when he dropped the first 2 sets at the French Open against Otte, then this was different, because Klein really, really played an amazing match. And I think that, deserved maybe a little bit of better luck today, because I think that for the way he showed up, the way he maintained his style, what he needed to do throughout the match, it was really, really good and refreshing to see. It's been a nice also contrast of styles, because two very, very different ways to play this game. Well, I think that we've seen that both can work really well, and it definitely was super entertaining. And one of the cases in which you clearly think that the player who lost, especially for a player like Klein, um, he is getting much better results lately, in the past weeks also, and coming into this tournament. So let's see if he can make a little more if he plays like this. It's also to mention that at times there are also some players who got also excited by the stage, by the situation, by the big match, and then maybe struggle a little bit. But hopefully this will not be the case in this time. He will be back, with this experience from this match, and try to do a push towards higher goals.
Yeah, I hope so. Just like as I said, like last year, I don't think he was ready. I hope he's ready now. And yeah, that was a pretty sensational match. I have to say that we were talking about on the show a couple of days ago about John McEnroe and how he like disrespects the lower ranked players constantly in his commentary, and how he doesn't care and just actively says that, okay, I don't know this guy who he is. And I have to say that he gets a lot of bad press for that, of course, including from me, of course. And I started watching Klein's match on some commentary. I don't know who that was, but yeah, it was just so clear that these guys have never even, I don't want to say watched him play. They never even watched highlights of anything from Lucas Klein. Like they were literally saying, "Oh, I like it that he's going so often to the net," or like, "I wonder if he's gonna keep doing it." It's Lucas effing Klein. I mean, he's gonna be at the net 90 times in the 5-set match. It's not a strategy for Zverev, but anyway. And that's why I pretty much said a couple of days ago that the sample size really just gives you a very different perception as well. So that's why it's important for the commentators to at least know who they're talking about. Anyway, there were a couple of other
It's also why it's nice and very good to see Grand Slam qualies and first week, especially because some of these players gets the opportunity to be seen and known also by who care a bit less about the lower stages of this game.
Yeah, and then I have to hurt because then I have to read their takes on these players that I've seen like countless times, and then but probably that's also what some fans of for example, people who are more knowledgeable than me about the ITF circuit or like the juniors. I think there are a lot of people who just watch the juniors a ton. They also suffer through my takes when I see these players for the first time, so it's only natural. I mean, everyone suffers at some point. Unless you only watch, I guess the Grand Slam quarterfinals and above, then you probably don't suffer at all because everyone knows more about these guys before you see them. Anyway, maybe let's talk about the other two fifth set tiebreakers that we had. Kasper Ruud beating Max Purcell and also Miomir Kecmanovic beating Leonard Struff. I have to mention, by the way, that this was like a very exciting hour or so when Iga Świątek was finishing up her match. And then there was literally like 3 5-setters going on at the same time. I'm not talking about Kecmanovic, Struff, also Norris Apieri, but maybe we'll get to that later, or maybe we won't. But anyway, that was a great moment when Colin Świątek literally finished. We still all had it like so fresh in our minds. And then Zverev, Klein, and Purcell Ruud are coming in with these 2 pretty much simultaneous 10-point tiebreakers, which was just such an exciting time. But yeah, let's talk about whatever first, Purcell Ruud or Struff Kecmanovic.
Maybe talking about Kecmanovic, getting also such a close win can really help him. He's ended his overall not great 2023 season with a very good win in the Davis Cup, playing and winning a couple of great matches, and starting the year backing up that result with a good Grand Slam run, beating a player like Struff, even if suffering for some parts of the match. He let's say easily lost a couple of sets today, but he's been great to be there and fighting and taking it in the end. This is not usually the best part of Kecmanovic game when you're talking about this mentality and the ability to always stay there. And so it's definitely good. I still think that he's I don't know, he lacks something maybe in his game to push for very much more. We have seen him not really having a lot of strategies, especially against the top guys, the top players, when they can really match his high rhythm from the baseline, which is basically his best, the best part of his game. But still being able to get this kind of wins, getting to the round 3 of a major, especially on hard courts when his game is gets the most reward. I think it's really 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 nice, and so now let's see how his run will continue.
Yep, and Kecmanovic, I very much agree that he's been playing like above his overall standard recently. So that was a pretty wild match for sure, with the match points that he wasted before the tiebreaker, then the match points that he saved in the tiebreak. One of them a pretty poor miss from Struff with the +1 sort of slice approach. Let's maybe head over to Sonego against Alcaraz. I guess that was also a pretty big story. Like that easily could have gone 5, right?
Well, yes, because the fourth set, when he starts with a break in Alcaraz's favor, maybe you may think, okay, it's getting clearer that Carlos is maybe taking it, and then Sonego has been really credit to him because he showed up well for the occasion, and he's a player with a lot of ups and downs in terms that he can have a very good week and then for 2, 3, 4 consecutive weeks then maybe catch up, maybe only one win, but he did really well, and he's also one of these players who likes to play on this stage against a player like Alcaraz, who plays this kind of tennis against which Sonego maybe likes even more. We've seen him on this big stage, on the center court, playing some good tennis, maybe taking a set, as he did, for example, also in that Rome semifinal against Djokovic, even if he didn't come really close to the victory. So yeah, I would say that has been a very very enjoyable match, and Alcaraz also had some trouble also on serve because Sonego was present, and overall I think that despite having had to play a tiebreak in the first round, being engaged in a battle by Sonego in the second round, I'm still having good feelings from Alcaraz overall. So I would say that this has been quite a good match. For sure not the best match of his career, but a good match against an opponent who played good tennis, and I think he can be quite satisfied in the end because in the tiebreak then he didn't I didn't feel in the tiebreak that it was close to dropping it. So I think overall it's been a nice performance.
Yeah, sorry, Ghosty, I'm not responding much to you, but I think that's pretty clear that, this is what I'm doing, like literally, carving up a niche, and I'm absolutely fine in it. So that doesn't mean that it won't pain me when I hear people who are incompetent, but I am absolutely fine in my own niche as long as it's going to help ensure my survival. Anyway, when it comes to something else, we also should mention Jakub Mensik and his performance against Hubert Hurkacz. I've been calling this upset all week on the Talking Tennis show. I think it's pretty clear that while the quality was very similar from both players, perhaps even Mensik had the stronger patches. He just wasn't ready to live with Hurkacz physically in that match. I'm a little surprised by how early he went away. sort of dropping that second set already in 25 minutes, and generally the pace of play, of course, was pretty fast. But a lot of the things I've said, I think I even sort of convinced myself even more about them when I watched the match. Like, they are really so similar. They have very similar like fundamentals. They really have a very their defense style is so identical. Like, they just don't really loop the ball in, or like they don't counter, but they just sort of use that reach, use the long legs that they have essentially to maybe like just pick the ball up and throw it to the opponent. They like extend their rallies forever in the hopes that they will get an error rather than actually forcing it. And of course, the big difference is the Menchik forehand, the way he can just easily accelerate off it, whereas Hurkacz has to like just pick his battles and be more careful about it. I think in the long run, Menchik's game probably should be better, especially if all of the other stuff about him can get as good as Hurkacz is, basically. Maybe the serve will never be as good. I don't know. I mean, for now, we cannot really judge that. I guess that's the thing that it would be the hardest to get to a Hurkacz-like level. But all of his basics are seemingly stronger, and he doesn't have the same deficiencies when it comes to the technique. So, of course, he's super exciting. And yeah, overall, that was just another performance that told us, well, yeah, Jakub Menchik is going to be doing great things even this year. I really think he's not far off winning matches like this. It's just that today, delivering physically by the 4th, 5th set, I think we kind of knew it's already over.
Yeah, let's say that I'm expecting, of course, him, especially in the best of 3 format. I think that today he's shown that, especially in that shorter format, he is ready, to go toe to toe with this level of players. You made me smile because when you mentioned the defense, I usually say that Hurkacz's defense is one of the most annoying thing if you are, I don't know, if you are the opponent or rooting, but because it's this kind of defense, he reaches everything and gets this slow ball to you, and but overall, judging the match, I think that even if you didn't get this substance that you were calling, but I think that for the second Grand Slam in a row, and this time even more because it ended better, even if one round earlier, we got the answer that Menchik can be present in many more slams, and he's set to be present in the ATP Tour, I think, even from this year without any kind of issues, even from judging him, but not only from this tournament, but when you are able to bring that tennis you are showing, and even better in a tournament like a Grand Slam, it's definitely a sign for me. We've seen also in the Davis Cup at the challenger level lately, and not only. I think that this week for sure told us that it's a confirmation. As for Hurkacz, usually it's not very easy for him to get past this round, which can be tricky. This time with the physicality also, he has been able to prevail, taking a step up in the later parts of the match. It's been, of course, important for him also to easily win the 4th set, because after being down 2-1, if you start struggling in the 4th, or you didn't get the break, then things can become really complicated. Instead, that 4th set for me, it was kind of more than the second one, was kind of a turning point, because probably also for a physical point of view, Menchik probably would have had more chances in the 4th set to take it than maybe in an eventual 5th, as it has been. But I mean, good showing at this point. Hurkacz, I don't know what you think, but seeing this quarter, I'm really down on, the match is not finished. I don't even know the score of the 5th set, but I'm really down on Medvedev right now.
He's up a break, so yeah, he will probably be saving himself. But I understand what you mean. Like, even the 3rd, 4th round, which initially were supposed to be like pretty tough for Hurkacz. Yeah, Umber is still there, But if he beats him, the forefront has opened up. It's Hrikspor or Cazaux. Yeah, it looks doable, and he's also playing like his matchup against Medvedev in the past has been pretty tough for Daniil as well. So it's there to be taken. Like the semifinals are really there to be taken for Hurkacz now. I honestly I'm like pretty like average on his performance today. I think he did okay, but when I'm reading in the Polish media or Polish Twitter that he was like amazing because he was so tough mentally in the fourth and fifth, like yeah, if you have an opponent who's dead and you win 6-1,
Yeah,
6-3,
yeah.
does it really speak to your mental toughness if you're just so much better than the guy? And I'm not saying he wasn't tough. I'm just saying there wasn't really any point that proved it really, because that match wasn't really close other than the two sets which he actually lost. So yeah, I don't think it's a perfect example of it. He definitely has lost many matches in the past like this, but never in a position like that where he's like, yeah, fresh and the other guy is not. Usually it was probably the other way around. But anyway, yeah, I think the draw is there for him. Really, it's a big opportunity now. We were expecting him to have a much tougher draw because of that Rune fourth round and also Medvedev potentially looking strong. Right now, it actually seems that having battled through Menchik, he might have an opportunity for a run. But you know, Humbert, I think he's beaten him twice, but the last match was really close. I'm not like putting him into the forefront yet. I'm definitely not ready to do it. Well, I am running out of time a little bit, so we have like 5 minutes left. So let's maybe mention as well that indeed Daniil Medvedev is 3-love up now in the fifth, so it looks like he will survive. But yeah, let's maybe talk about him for like 2 minutes. Definitely not a strong showing so far, and I was sort of putting that Terence Atmane match from the opening round. I know he only lost one set, and then of course Atmane retired, but the first set to me it just seemed like okay, so it's the first match of the season. He just needs a bit more playtime. It's simply rust, right? Because he literally like blew that first set against
Yeah.
Atmane, losing the last 3 games with like 10 unforced errors. But right now, he's also struggling against Emil, who has been really good recently, who has started the year well. Also, the conditions probably not exactly what Medvedev likes because it's like so late in Melbourne right now. And well, it's super slow. So that's probably not his favorite either. So I guess you just said it, that you are not as high as you were at the beginning of the event, I guess, on Medvedev.
No. Honestly, no. I also had the expectation that the matchup would have been kind of favorable to him, despite Rusuwori being good lately. But the thing is that he dropped the first and the second set, and it can even be okay. But it's not that what happened after that. He's showing, a great Daniil Medvedev. You are seeing okay. It's overall, it's a bad performance. Whatever happens, it can even win 6-love in the fifth. So yeah, I'm thinking, more or less he's looking shaky, and so considering also the draw, who can he face? I actually, maybe you have mentioned, but I've lost. I didn't check. I don't know the third round which one will be.
Felix, I think.
Felix. Yeah, you're right. These are all players who can make him have troubles, or even in the fourth round, Dimitrov is playing well.
Yeah.
He's playing well. You were mentioning also the physicality, the physical aspect of, and so far, he's still survived in both his matches. So
he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine.
He avoided to play a fifth set, while instead it's Medvedev who, a very late finish today, because it's the match will end more or less at 4 a.m. a little bit earlier. Playing more than right now is 4-13. So right now his chances are going to be lower, and the gap that I had in my mind at the beginning of the tournament between him and Alcaraz is widening. That's it.
For sure. It's not that Carlos has been perfect. It's just that right now I don't know if I even see Daniil in the semis. Yeah.
even if Alcaraz today would have won in 5, the feeling I got through his match, it's still different that what
No, yeah,
um,
he played
I'm
like a
having
bit of
from
a, like he didn't play smart, but he did win, and the shot making from both players was still excellent. So I think he might get there, just with his level as the fortnight progresses. Whereas, yeah, Medvedev, I'm not really sure right now. I would actually change it to Dimitrov beating him right now because, yeah, he sort of handled the tough draw that he was supposed to have. And also, he's not playing Davidovich Fokina, who, by the way, gets the award for like the most
yeah.
criminal performance of today, probably. And yeah, I think the fact that he's not going to have to face Davidovich Fokina, but Nuno Borges probably also beats him in like 4 sets. That's really good for Dimitrov right now. And I would say that he, for me, is now again the favorite over Medvedev, which I sort of just pushed myself away from, given that Medvedev just seemed to me like he would have an easier path than Dimitrov. But now that Davidovich Fokina is out, this definitely doesn't hold up anymore. So I think Dimitrov will actually arrive in the 4th round with a lot of energy, and that could mean issues to Daniil. Maybe the best of 3 format helps out Medvedev, but we will see. But yeah, as you said, today he is out there for until like almost 4 a.m. Now it's Rusevori who had a medical timeout. Daniil had one for a blister before the second set tiebreak. Now it's Rusevori, so it seems like the match will indeed be done very quickly. And yeah, I guess this is what we'll finish on. Also, guys, if you want to know more about the Sumit Nagal story, we had a video on that, so check that out. He lost today to Yuncheng Shang, which is going to be, by the way, a very exciting match as well between Shang and Alcaraz. I don't know if I see Shang beating him, but it's another one of these like shot making classics, really, between, of course, two of the most the talented players of the young generation. One very much established at the top, one probably just about to this year or the next one, but or perhaps not as high as Alcaraz, but anyway. And yeah, any
Yeah,
finishing thoughts? Uh-huh.
the first match with Alcaraz being the older player,
Yeah,
considering
so
after the junior, of course.
yeah, both at the Grand Slam level and also any professional match. This is the first time Alcaraz plays someone younger than him, which I guess only really was close to happening when he played Rune, since it's like a week
Yeah,
or
because it's
two
6 or
between them.
7 days.
Yeah, so I guess it was only the one time that that was a real possibility so far. And Shang was born like something February 2005, so he is like almost 2 years younger than Carlos, and he's gonna have his 19th birthday very soon. Anyway, that's gonna be it then. Make sure to tune in to our like introduction live or whatever it is before Anisimova Badosa tomorrow. I think there's going to be commentary for that as well. And also, of course, the last ball drops. I think there's also a stream scheduled for Djokovic Echeverry. Don't know who's going to do that yet, but yeah, lots of stuff coming on the channel. Of course, also keep subscribing. Our goal of 6K until the end of the Australian Open doesn't look great at the moment. However, 5.5K I think is very doable. Maybe 6K was bold, or maybe you guys will show us that it's actually fine and we're gonna make it. Thank you to the people in the chat who I think was just ghosty on this stream. But of course, if you ever want to say something, you are invited to, and we're going to interact with whatever you said, unless it's something that we shouldn't be bringing up to light, let's say. But most of the time, we are going to respond. And yeah, thank you, Mario. Thank you, everyone watching.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you on some other show. Bye.
Bye.